Holidays can be a dark time for those struggling with drug addiction. New data just out today from the CDC suggesting that the crisis is only growing worse. Stunning new figures out from the Centers for Disease Control. Nearly 107,000 Americans died from drug overdoses in 2021, according to the CDC, dropping the average life expectancy to its lowest level since 1996. And studies show relapse rates for drug and alcohol addiction spike 150% during the holidays. Let's bring in former DEA Special Agent Derek Maltz to talk more about this. Derek, let me just put up on the screen call for number one here so folks at home can see exactly what the toll is. Nearly 107,000 Americans died from drug overdoses. That is an increase of 16% over the number of deaths in 2020. I mean, this is nothing if not an epidemic.
Thank you, John, for the ongoing coverage. So first of all, like if you look at just from November 1st to today, that's over 15,000 dead Americans from drugs. You look at Christmas Day coming up on over the weekend, 300 families will get a call. So we have this epidemic, we have this crisis, this poisoning. But one thing that we have to realize is we have an army of families around America that work every day so hard. They do PSAs, they do education, they develop resources for schools, they make short films, they do whatever they can, they hang billboards. So let me just tell you one quick story, John, on what's happening with Lauren's Wish. There's a family in West Virginia, Lauren Cole, she died in 2020. Her family, before she died, she asked her father to consider setting up a rehab center in West Virginia because so many of her friends were addicted and were dying from this poisonous substance. So she ultimately died, but then her father, Michael Cole, and mother, Sherry Cole, set up a rehab center in a hotel. They raised money on their own. No help from the government. But this is happening all over America. So they have short-term triage type of addiction treatment, and they have long-term care. But these are the stories that American public doesn't hear. The government should be helping out more. Instead of giving Ukraine billions and billions of dollars, maybe divert some money to the mental health of our kids in schools, as that's escalating through the roof.
Yeah, I mean, there are people who are saying if you're going to give that much money to Ukraine, you need to give money to other things. As you mentioned, Greg Abbott is saying it needs to be spent on the border as well. We hear how deadly fentanyl is, that just a couple of milligrams can be deadly. But people say, well, how much is that really? Take a look at these two photographs. On one side of the screen here, you're going to see a pencil. It's got just what looks like a few grains of fentanyl on it. And then on the other side of the screen, when we get it up here, you'll see a penny. And you can see the amount of fentanyl it can kill you in relation to the size of a penny. I mean, Derek, when you think about it, it's such a small amount that can kill people. These drug cartels are funneling into our country enough fentanyl to kill all of us 10 times over.
Yes, and that's why the DEA just did a recent warning that they seized over 50 million of these pills, these fake pills last year, this year. And they also say that 379 million deadly doses were taken off the streets. It's like that's why the Families Against Fentanyl have been pushing John so hard to declare fentanyl a weapon of mass destruction, because we've never seen in the history of this country a substance coming into this country from another country, killing our future generation like this. We've never had this. This is not your typical drug crisis, which we've had, going on for a while. This is a substance that's made in these dirty, filthy labs in Mexico. The Chinese chemicals are coming in there on a daily basis. And by the way, John, I've said this so many times, but another thing that nobody's talking about is the Chinese criminals are helping out with the money laundering services. So they're providing the chemicals, the money laundering, and the cartel business is booming as we are being invaded by 160 countries of migrants from around the world. And so it's a very, very terrible situation. But during this holiday season, my heart goes out to all the families. That's why I'm inspired to work harder every day. I know Fox has done a tremendous job in helping the families. So thank you very much, John.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a tremendous thing to get involved in, and God bless the parents who have to deal with this when their child gets involved and gets poisoned by this horrible, horrible drug. You talk about 379 million doses of fentanyl. deadly doses of fentanyl being seized. We hear, too, that that's just a fraction of what actually comes across the border. Derek Maltz, we wish you Godspeed at this time, because I know that you do great work, and the organizations that you're affiliated with as well. And as you said, as we all celebrate, some families are going to get that tragic call that no one wants to get. Thanks for coming on. Really appreciate it.